Hey guys, welcome to My Brother's Ballad. I'm your boy Poe Theory. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. So as you know, I love watching Abby Phillips on Newsnight, and there was a crazy showdown between Anna Navarro and Shermichael Singleton. It was definitely a doozy. Let's get into it.
It's not a conversation about the tattoos. One of the other things that happened this week is that a California judge said that you can't just scoop people up and deport them without a warrant. And in that case, basically the judge is saying, you know, you're basically taking anybody who's in a particular area. If they don't want to talk to you, you're taking them, detaining them, and assuming that they are deportable, and that you can't really do that anymore.
What the judge is saying is nothing radical. This is basically comports with existing.
That's what I was about to say. I don't think that that's such a crazy judgment. I thought we lived in America that you can't just racially profile someone and say, oh, you look like you may be a part of MS-13. You know what? I think you need to go to El Salvador. Not even going to give you any due process.
Law, it comports with decades of decisions around this matter, which in like pure layman's basic terms means that ICE agents cannot go after people, arrest them and detain them solely on the basis of being brown, having brown skin and being working class. And what was so interesting about this case for me is that the Border Patrol did not contest any of the allegations.
They actually claimed that they changed their guidelines.
Their response was just that they were going to do better training. And this issue is right in line with the Mr. Abrego Garcia case. It's a question of due process. Whatever we feel about Mr. Abrego Garcia, it's honestly irrelevant. It's a question for the immigration judge.
On Mr. Garcia, we keep saying that there's no evidence that this guy belonged to a gang.
No evidence in court filings.
That's not true.
No, that is true.
Shermichael, that is true. No. Hold on. We always have to play this game of interrupting people when they're talking.
But you're
saying... What's the point of me being on the show if I can never finish my freaking point?
Okay.
Shermichael, when you start to tell lies, you should be interrupted. This is what we asked for. And this is the one thing that irritates me so bad about the media. They rarely interjected during the election. They allowed these people to spew lies, and in part, that is why we have Trump again. But now, Trump is in office and he has actual real power now. The media is actually pushing back, and these MAGA pundits, these Republicans, because we have to stop saying MAGA, because we tend to believe that once Donald Trump is gone, then all of these people will just all of a sudden just evaporate, and we'll no longer have these MAGA Republicans. We have to recognize that these are Republicans. The policies that he is pushing were policies that were in the books for Republicans for decades. Everything that Trump is doing right now is from the Republican playbook.
This is getting really annoying, Abby.
Hold on.
Everyone else has made their statements. I have yet to say anything.
Hold on a second.
Oh, he's mad because he can't make his point. Oh, again, we don't want you to make your point when you're lying, Shermichael, or telling half truths.
Okay.
I mean, Jesus.
Hold on
Why
a
are you
second.
so angry? Because I want to say something, and I have a point of view to make it as well.
Hang on just one second. Shermichael, let me ask you a question. The question is, has the government presented evidence in court that Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13?
And my response...
And the answer is no, that has not happened in court. But it doesn't mean that they have not made those claims publicly. It doesn't mean that those claims are not in police reports.
In 2019...
It doesn't mean that they're not in police reports. They're just not statements that were made in
2019, the immigration judge at the time believed the Prince George's County gang unit and the evidence that they presented before that judge at the time that Mr. Garcia did indeed belong to a gang. This is not my opinion. People can Google this crap. They can Google this. CBS reported on this. If a judge believed it in 2019, is it now all of a sudden not true?
The judge granted him a withholding of removal.
No, I acknowledge that fact.
Which is a different issue. Hold on.
But the point remains that a judge found the evidence to be credible that Mr. Garcia did indeed belong to a gang. So now all of a sudden we're just not going to believe judges?
The judge
we can't have it both ways.
I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but my only point is that the government has not presented beyond the police report. They have not actually presented the evidence to prove.
And let's be very clear. When when they keep harkening and harping on this police report where this PG County gang unit, which, to be fair, and not speaking specifically about the PG County gang unit, but if you do just a little bit of research about all of these gang units around the country, do a little bit of research on them. But when they keep saying the police report stated that he was a part of MS-13 or he was around people that were MS-13 and all these things, a police report is nothing but a preliminary recounting of the interaction that the police officer had with Abrego Garcia, essentially. As a person that was in a relationship with a police officer for over 10 years on and off, trust me, I know the ins and outs. A police report is not a fact. I'll give you an example. If I'm driving down the street and a police officer gets behind me and he says that I rolled through a stop sign, when he gives me my ticket and has to write in the police report or write on the ticket, oh, he rolled through a stop sign, just because he wrote that down in the police report doesn't mean that that's fact. It still has to go through the judicial process. It still has to go through due process.
That he belonged to this gang.
So police reports
That's
not
all
considered evidence before a court of law?
A police report.
Do judges not?
Again, police reports are a recounting of what happened from one person's point of view, which that person happens to be a police officer. Not happens to be a police officer. The person is a police officer. But it is essentially, it is not fact. If that were the case, thank God that we don't view police reports as fact, because if that were the case, a lot more people will be in prison than we currently do have now.
Consider police reports? What are we saying?
But Chair Michael, what was the original?
Relevant.
I want to. I actually want Chair Michael to finish the point.
It absolutely is relevant to the argument from the administration, which is that Mr. Garcia belonged to a gang as one of the reasons of deporting him out of the country. But you guys are saying there's no truth to it. There's no facts to it. That's not true.
The Constitution is very clear. It does not say citizens. It says no person should be deprived of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness without due process. It doesn't matter what he's done in his past. The Boston bomber. Wait a minute. Let me finish. The Boston bomber had due process.
Yeah, that's due process.
That's what this is about. I gave you time. Let me finish. Go ahead, okay? This is a president who continues to twist the Constitution to adapt to whatever his vision is, to the point of the.
I think with this topic are on the precipice. I thought we were on the precipice with the whole Luigi thing, and it's seeming like we are backtracking and backsliding to just not having a conversation at all when it comes to Medicare for all, and that, healthcare is a right, not a privilege. But with this topic, I read this book by Malcolm Gladwell called Talking to Strangers. And it basically talks about how if you behave in ways that are different than the masses would behave in certain stressful situations. So let's say your wife is unalived. And let's say you're not prone to crying. You're not prone to showing your emotions in that way. Some people would say, oh, because he's not crying or doing those things, then he had to do it. I view those type of situations through the lens of how Sir Michael and how Scott Jennings probably feels about Abrego Garcia. And it's, for me, like you can't pick and choose. Do you believe in due process? Do you believe in the law? Just because if a person went to prison for a murder and they were in jail for 20 years, they get out and then a police officer runs up on them and charges them with, I don't know, jaywalking or whatever the case may be, something mundane. Are they not allowed due process just because they did X, Y, and Z? The Constitution should cover and protect everyone within these country lines, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done in your past. To be clear, have you seen Donald Trump's rap sheet?
Without due process, an American citizen. His father did not want him to go, and the only access he had to his daughter was listening to his daughter cry in the background in a 1-minute call. That 4-year-old did not get access to a doctor, despite the fact of having stage 4 cancer, did not have his medication with him when he was deported, an American citizen, to Honduras. This is what this president is doing. He is twisting the definition of the Constitution, and people like you are disparaging character to try to justify that disparity.
I'm not disparaging. Due process does matter.
Did he have due process?
Thank you. Exactly. He said that much more succinctly than I just did. But Yes, they are essentially disparaging character to make it okay. But this is the part that's so dangerous. And this is where I think as a black person, I have such extreme empathy for people that are experiencing things that hopefully I will never experience. Simply because being a black person in America, you understand that it is very possible for it to happen to you. So when you continue to sit by and not say anything because this person didn't have the most white picket fence passed, that they, who cares? I mean, I'm not like that. So that could never happen to me. So who cares? Like, let's muddy and sully this person's character, essentially. So that way you will be okay with them being deported when they shouldn't have been. That's the goal.
Yeah, that if Mr. Garcia's past doesn't matter is ludicrous.
To
But
the
we live
process,
in a sovereign nation, and this idea that people can just come into our country and do whatever the heck they want to do is absurd to me. And if Democrats want to die on this hill, I promise you'll regret it politically. So go right ahead. Go right ahead.
For Americans.
Go
Dan,
right
let me
ahead.
let
We don't
Scott
want people breaking
have a
our laws
word.
coming into our country. That is a fact.
Let me let Scott have a word, and then we'll move on.
It seems to me that the political analysis.
I feel that Michael doesn't understand that he is black before he's an American. I don't get that vibe that he understands that. I don't think he he probably looks at Scott, like when he goes on this panel, he thinks, oh, Scott's my boy. He's on my side. When he doesn't realize that Scott only deals with you or even tolerates you simply because you are parroting the good old boys talking points.
Of this, though, is, and a lot of average people are looking at it this way. Why is it that we can let 20 million people into the country just walk across, whatever, and there's no real process for them to do that, but then we have to individually pick out every single person and go through years upon years upon years of paperwork and this and that and the other, and all we're trying to do is send them back to where they came from because they came here illegally in the first place. 20 million in with no process. How do you get 20 million out with years and years of people fighting every single case? You could cherry pick.
Because we are America, and because that is what our Constitution calls for. Are we this great nation, this great beacon of whatever it is on a shining hill that believes in law and order? Or are we a country of lawlessness that just sends people back without any due process to countries that they did not come from, being accused of things that have not been adjudicated? Pick one, Scott. Which one are we?
Any case you want. But the reality is the crisis that put Donald Trump in the White House was caused over years and years and years of neglect.
No, sweetie, the crisis that put Donald Trump in office was those 40 million people that stood out of this election that did not vote. That's what put Donald Trump in office. It was the Biden administration playing the biggest role in what's happening in the Middle East, causing a lot of people to sit out on this election and realizing that both choices were garbage. That is what got him in office, sir. He won the popular vote by less than 50% of the vote. Come on. Get out of here.
And letting people walk into here without any process at all, and now you're trying to gum up the works to keep them here.
A lot of them came in. A lot of them came in with parole. A lot of them came in.
CNN polling shows 54% of Americans want Mr.
November polling
Garcia
showed Donald
back.
Trump won the
That's
election.
CNN polling.
Well, you know what? We are a sovereign nation, and you cannot just come into our country illegally whenever the heck you want, because we can't do it to any other country on the face of this
Asylum
earth.
is a legal right.
If you come in illegally, you have to leave. Americans are tired of that. We do not have unlimited
You
resources.
know who was here illegally
care
with a
for our own people
deportation order?
first.
Marco Rubio's
Okay.
grandfather.
All right. Let's.
We're not talking about
let's-
Marco
Oh,
Rubio.
now we're not? Now that's not relevant?
It's not
No,
relevant.
I'm talking
It's not
about
relevant
Marco
to this
Rubio because Marco
conversation at
Rubio
all.
used to be an advocate.
I agree with Anna 100%. And here goes Michael. We're not talking about him. It's not relevant. It is relevant. There is a huge legacy of people that come to this country and may not have done it the proper way or the legal way. And then when they get in and get their citizenship, they very nicely slam the door shut behind them and then become these people with these talking points of you got to do it legally. Well, sir, if everyone did, if that with that premise, I don't think you would be here.
advocate for TPS for Venezuelans, and Marco Rubio used
Well,
to
I'm
be
not Marco
an
Rubio.
advocate for Nicaraguans
Let me tell you
and
my
Cubans.
beliefs.
No,
If
I know
you
you're
come to
not.
this country illegally, you are going home. Simple as
Okay.
that. We do not have unlimited resources.
I think
in
a
this
lot of
country
Americans-
to take care of other
There's
people.
a hell of
We
a
have
lot
our
of
own
people
guys.
other than the
first,
black
Anna.
people who were brought here as slaves who came to this country illegally.
They're
From a
not
lot
the
of
same as
different-
black people who were brought here against our
That's
will.
exactly what I
They
just said.
decided
I
to
said
walk
there is
their
a
butts
lot
across
of
the
people
border. There's a
other
big
than the
difference.
black
There is
people.
a big
That's
difference.
Hold on.
Okay. So seeing Michael get so indignant about what he thought Anna said there are a lot of people other than the Africans that were brought on ships as slaves through no choice of their own. She was not comparing them to the undocumented people here. I don't know how he heard that, but to see him get so indignant about this, so upset about this, while you are caping for Donald Trump, how'd that work? When you are licking the boot of one of the most modern day racist presidents known to man.
What
Okay.
I
There's a
just
big
said.
difference.
That's
Share
exactly
Michael-
what I just
share
said,
Michael
Sir Michael.
and
Look
Anna.
and act indignant. That's
Okay.
exactly what
It's
I
not
just
about
said.
acting
I
indignant.
Yes, it is.
let me
You are acting indignant. The thing that you are arguing is exactly what she did not say. Like, how'd you hear it? That's why people interrupt you, because you're not making any sense. You look foolish. And I hope there was an apology for this.
Just let me
Share
say
Michael.
that other than the black
Anna
people
and
who
Share
came
Michael.
as
You're
slaves,
high ground
there are
here.
a lot of people from
Share
many,
Michael. I think
many
you
countries
actually
that came
misheard
here
what she.
illegally.
I think you misheard
Okay.
what she said.
No, he purposely misheard.
She said.
I purposely
Yes,
misheard.
she did.
So now you're in my
Share
brain?
Michael. Listen to me for
Is
just a
that,
second.
is that where we're going?
You
Share
think
Michael.
I would
listen to me
say
for-
After Abby just confirmed that you misheard her, the next thing out of your mouth should have been, I apologize. He's disgusting. He's disgusting. I don't know what happened to him.
I who have advocated
Anna,
for black
please
people
stop.
my entire life to
Anna,
say something like that.
Anna,
give me a
Because
damn
you've
break.
advocated for black
Anna,
people,
please
great.
stop.
Congratulations. Last time I checked, I'm black. You're not.
Okay, Share Michael.
That's right.
And she's doing more advocating for the blacks than you are. Last time I checked, I'm black and you're not. Yeah, only in skin tone, sir. It's not giving anything else. I'm sorry. We have to stop this whole, because I know there are going to be some black Republicans that get into these comments and say, oh, because I'm a Republican, I can't be black. Yeah, you're black, but in color only. A lot of skin folk ain't kin folk. Let's be very clear.
I'm Latino and my people are being racially
It is-
profiled.
it is-
and
And do I have to
unfairly
remind you the history of my people?
Share
Do
my-
I
I
want
have
to
to
go
re-
there?
Do you remember the history of your people? Do you remember the history of your people, sir?
I
Do you really
okay.
want to go there?
I
and
don't
never
know
answer?
the history
Raul,
of your
we're going to
people.
go to
You know
break.
why?
Raul Reyes, thank you very much for joining us. Everybody else, hang tight.
History was not
We'll be right
the
back.
race when I was studying history like the country.
And I don't know if you guys heard it at the end when he's saying, do you know the history of my people? And she says, of course, yes, because when I was growing up, history wasn't being erased like it's being erased under this administration, where he is sitting by and being okay with that. Michael, you're a joke. You need to go away. And please, again, you're black in skin tone only. That's it. All right, guys. So a little bit more of a spicy reaction than you're probably used to, but that just really sent me. I'm sorry. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Peace.